Hi everybody, welcome back to Arma 3 and welcome back to the next in my series of videos about how to create DayZ themed Arma 3 mission scenarios, single player ones we're working on using the Ravage mod and we're using the Churnerous Redux mod as well. And in this video I'm going to show you how you can add, basically you can add props to your map to create a more immersive experience. So here we are, we're at Devil's Castle. This is, you know, a familiar place to anybody who plays DayZ. And with the videos we did earlier with things like how to have enemy AI patrolling around, whether that be soldiers or vehicles, or friendly AI patrolling around, whether that be soldiers or vehicles, you kind of get the idea of how you can make almost it's like a location that you would stumble across, which could be very interesting. So you could have, for example, friendly AI here, and then you could be spawning. You could have zombies hordes spawning in these trees using the Ravage horde module, and they would be having a battle. So as you wandered up here, stuff would be going on independent of what you're doing in the game. The AI would just be having a battle. Now, the thing I would say is Churnerous Redux is very high on assets in it. And if we start putting too much into the map, it will start to chug. And that's why sometimes I recommend explore the possibilities of using a map like Stratus for your DayZ Ravage experience, because it's much smaller and Arma 3 runs much better on it. But without further ado, let's kind of dive in. So you know, at the top we've got objects, we've got compositions, we've got triggers, we've got waypoints, we've got the systems. But underneath the objects, we also have we've got op 4, blue 4, and then we have props at the end. So let's have a look. Let's play some basic props. So let's have a look for a crash. There we go. M8 crash. Now this is a familiar object from DayZ. There is the helicopter. So we can move it around. If we press shift and we can find the bottom of it, we can change the angle of it. So you might remember that one. And while we're here, actually, let me shut down. If we go back to systems and look for smoke, we've got our effects. So we can actually put a smoke effect on this helicopter crash. So that's a nice simple thing, but it's very DayZ-ish. So let's go back to, let's shut that down. Let's go back to props. And let's have a look down and let's click on here. Fences, military. Barbed wire fences. Okay, so a bit tall, razor fence gate, razor wire barrier. Here we go. So let's put in a razor wire barrier. Let's see if we can fill in, you know, the gaps in the wall at Devil's Castle. Something like this. Imagine how difficult this would be in DayZ doing a mod. But here, if we scroll in, you can probably see better. Now we can copy stuff and just paste it as well. So we've added a razor wire fence. You know, and to give you a flavour of it, I'll tell you what, let's come over here and let's then add a soldier there. So there we go. So he's defending his little fence. That's pretty cool, isn't it? But there's so much in props. Sandbag walls. Let's have a look. Short. So we could put. Let's zoom in a bit. Sandbag wall long. You know, you could create stuff like that, but you know they're fairly boring, aren't they? We've also got things like buildings, tents. So let's move around a bit. Let's go around here. Let's put a tent in. And let's move it around like that. In fact, let's put it there. And let's have it round, say, I don't know, like that. What we got? Environment, rocks, fences, structures, humanitarian. There's another type of tent there. Cemetery. Oh God. Body out of there. Now, you will spend hours going through all of these props and adding various things, and you'll be absolutely amazed at what you can do. Now, I'll kind of say it again, the more you add, the slower the game will run, because obviously each asset requires a little bit of CPU. But one of the things you probably want to look at is supply stuff. So if you put in supply, so we've got supply box AF, CSAT, CCRG, supply box NATO. Now, what you can do with these is, if you drop these in on the map, in fact, for example, we could put this supply box inside this tent. Right, so there's that. Let's just move them around a little bit. So let us move it around. So this is a supply box. Now, if we click on it, we can bring up its attributes, and if you go down to equipment storage, you can change what's in here. So you may remember in one of the other videos we talked about putting stuff inside the Jeep. We can do exactly the same thing with the supply box. Now, depending on which faction supply box you go with, it'll have different stuff around in it as default. But then you can go through and you can add whatever you like. You know, there's obviously a limit to what you can fit in, and you can customize it. And also, you might remember in the, I think it was the second video, I showed you how you can tell your squad mates by selecting them using like F2, F3, F4, and then pressing the number 6 on your keypad. You can tell them to go and resupply at a, I think it's number 6. Go and resupply at a supply box. So they go off and they'll fill up their ammunition and things like that. So they're very useful. In fact, one of the things I like to do is, in a later video, I'll show you how you can have kind of missions. But also, if you have simple zombie hordes, if you put like a zombie horde in a particular place, it's quite nice to have a supply box there as well, somewhere where it makes sense, so that, you know, when you get there, you can kill all the zombies, and then you can resupply stuff really quickly. You know, load more magazines, grenades, that sort of stuff. But you don't have to be just limited to things like that. Let's just get up so we're out of the way a bit. And we can put vehicles down as well. So we've got all the props, but if we go back to, for example, Op4, we could say, okay, let's put down a hunter, but without a crew in it. We could put that down there. Let's turn it around, say. So we could say there's a hunter. How about a helicopter? Let's turn that around. A bit close to the wall. How about a tank? There we go. Now these are empty. They haven't got crews in them, and we don't have to be limited by the. What the hell happened there? We don't have to be limited by NATO. You know, we could put any, you know, the enemy vehicles there as well. So we can just wander along, and we can just jump into one of these vehicles, and as a player, we can just use it, which I think you agree is pretty amazing. And again, we could customize what's inside them as well. And to kind of show you that, if we go, if we right click on the map, we can say play from here. So we'll spawn in. Here we go. Let's go and have a look at that supply box first. There we go. There's the supply box. So if we press I, you can see everything in the supply box. we could resupply. There's the tank we could get in. There's the Jeep. And here is the helicopter. Spacebar to get in. Is it Z to start her up? Or Shift to start her up? Pretty cool, eh? Woo, 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 woo. We don't want to crash into the side. Let's take her up. Bit of altitude. And there we are, flying above the Chenarusian countryside. A helicopter. How absolutely cool. How amazing is that? And how easy is that to do? So let's go back to the editor. That's probably running a little bit chunkily for you. And so what I recommend you do is really have a look around through the various props and all the amazing things that you can spawn in. And don't go mad, because as I say, the game will start to run slowly. But it really gives you an idea of I know we use the term sandbox for DayZ as well, and lots of open world games, but really a playing sandbox where you can have all these tools available for you as you're wandering around Chernarus killing zombies. You can have these amazing. You could be driving around a tank, you could be driving around in an APC with a rocket launcher on the top. The Op4 have got some Jeeps that have got heat anti-tank missile launchers on the top, using them against hordes of zombies or against enemy AI. Anti-aircraft missiles. It's, the list goes on and on and on, and it's so much fun to play around with it. And again, your imagination should just be going, oh wow, God, I could have a mission where it's almost like Call of Duty and Battlefield's campaigns, where you go to a certain place, you've got to assault the airfield, and there's a tank waiting for you. You jump into the tank and you go and do the mission. So there we go. Hopefully that gives you some ideas and shows you how to use props and spawn in vehicles and supplies. And yeah, have lots of fun with it. If you've got any questions, put them in the description, in the comment section below the video. There's links to all the other videos in this series down there as well. And of course, I'll see you again soon.